With NCIS Origins on the way, Mark Harmon's time being Leroy Gibbs is seemingly over, but he still hopes to help the franchise. Harmon's Gibbs exited NCIS after attempting to turn himself in for breaking the law. Parker refused to arrest him, so Gibbs elected to remain at peace in retirement, no longer spending his days investigating various crimes. Harmon's version of Gibbs may have ended his reign, but the upcoming prequel hopes to tell the story of his earliest days. Origins is set to premiere on October 14th and will feature Austin Stoll as a younger Gibbs. As an executive producer for NCIS, Harmon still takes opportunities to impart his wisdom to the younger actor. In an interview with TV Insider, Stoll explained that Harmon gave him direct advice. The original Gibbs told him to have faith in himself and to simply trust yourself. Stoll believes that Harmon's intervention has been essential to his success as the young Gibbs, providing much-needed support. Check out his quote below. Stoll's inspiration is not the only thing that the TV Insider interview revealed. The other producers and stars also offered some insight into the differences between Stoll's Gibbs and Harmon's. Writer David J. North explained that their emotional reactions will differ, as Stoll's version of the character has not yet learned to suppress his emotions. The newly recruited Gibbs will also lack an established place among the other investigators, which will inevitably impact his comfort levels with the team. The premiere will see a grieving Gibbs returning from Desert Storm to find himself in a new environment, surrounded by new mentors, allies, and potential foes. Kyle Schmidt, Special Agent Mike Franks, referred to Gibbs as a lost soul and emphasized that Franks will recruit Gibbs as a means of supporting him. With so much piled on his shoulders, Gibbs will need to balance his personal and professional lives, while also forging connections with team members, including Mariel Molino's Special Agent Lala Dominguez. The entire cast of NCIS Origins will have their own unique challenges when it comes to connecting with predefined characters. Actors cited the use of direct discussions with their predecessors and dialogue coaches to get themselves properly invested. Additionally, Mark Harmon and his son, Sean Harmon, will both be serving as executive producers. That itself is fitting, given that Sean Harmon previously played young Gibbs. With so much support from the cast and crew, Stoll's NCIS Origins debut should come smoothly. As the sun dipped below the horizon on a cool autumn evening, the set of NCIS Origins buzzed with an energy that was almost palpable. The new series, a prequel to the iconic NCIS, aimed to delve into the early life of one of television's most beloved characters, Leroy Jethro Gibbs. The responsibility of embodying a young Gibbs fell on the shoulders of rising star Tom Carver, a 20-something actor known for his intense dedication and sharp attention to detail. But taking on such an iconic role was no small feat, and the looming shadow of Mark Harmon, who had portrayed Gibbs for nearly 2 decades, was ever present. Tom had grown up watching Harmon bring Gibbs to life with an effortless blend of stoicism, toughness, and a surprising depth of emotion. So when he received the call that he'd landed the role, his initial reaction was a mix of excitement and trepidation. How could he possibly live up to the portrayal that had been etched into the minds of millions of fans around the world? It was on the first day of filming, after a particularly grueling scene involving a young Gibbs facing a moral dilemma. "I heard you were having a bit of a rough day," Harmon began, taking his seat on the small couch in the trailer. He was dressed casually, a far cry from Gibbs' usual crisp attire, but there was still an unmistakable presence about him. Tom nodded, grateful for the concern. "It's just, there's so much to this character," Tom admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I want to do him justice, but sometimes it feels like I'm just pretending." Harmon leaned back, his eyes narrowing slightly as he considered Tom's words. "You're right," he said after a moment. "Gibbs is a complex character. But you're not just pretending, Tom. You're finding your own way to connect with him. And that's the key." Tom looked at him, curiosity piqued. "How did you do it?" he asked, eager for any insight. Harmon smiled faintly, a flash of nostalgia crossing his features. "When I first took on the role, I didn't fully know who Gibbs was. But what I did know was that he was a man of principles, someone who had a code that guided everything he did. He wasn't just tough for the sake of it, He was tough because he'd seen a lot, and he knew what mattered. Tom listened intently as Harmon continued. But here's the thing, Tom. Gibbs wasn't always that way. He became that man over time, shaped by his experiences, his losses, his victories. You're playing the young Gibbs, the man who's still figuring out who he is. The man who hasn't yet become the legend. So you have room to explore, to show the uncertainty, the rawness. That's what makes this role so exciting. Tom nodded, understanding dawning on him. So it's not about trying to be the Gibbs everyone knows, it's about becoming him. Exactly, Harmon said, a twinkle of approval in his eyes. Gibbs wasn't born the man he is in the original series. He grew into it. Your job is to show that journey. Find the moments where he starts to become that man, but don't rush it. Let it unfold naturally. There was a pause as Tom absorbed this advice, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. Thank you, he said earnestly. I think I needed to hear that. Harmon stood up, giving Tom a reassuring pat on the shoulder. You're going to do great, Tom. Just trust your instincts and remember that Gibbs, like all of us, is a work in progress. And hey, if you ever need to talk, you know where to find me. Tom watched as Harmon left the trailer, feeling more confident than he had since taking on the role. He understood now that his task wasn't to imitate Mark Harmon's Gibbs, but to build the foundation of the character. To show the world who Gibbs was before the walls went up, before the rules were written in stone. The next day on set, Tom approached his scenes with a renewed sense of purpose. He allowed himself to be more vulnerable in his portrayal, letting the uncertainty and raw emotion come through. He knew that the young Gibbs would make mistakes, face challenges that would shape him into the man he would become. And he wasn't afraid to show that. The crew noticed the shift in Tom's performance almost immediately. There was a depth to his portrayal that hadn't been there before, a sense of authenticity that resonated with everyone on set. It was as if Tom had finally found the heart of the character, and he wasn't afraid to let it show. As the weeks went by, Tom continued to build on Harmon's advice, creating a version of Gibbs that was uniquely his own while still honoring the legacy that had come before him. Fans of the original series eagerly awaited the premiere of NCIS, Origins, curious to see how the young Gibbs would be portrayed. It was clear that Tom had succeeded in his mission.